Hey, welcome to Tim Connolly Drums live stream, where we are going to cover some very cool topics this evening. You guys are free to comment, ask questions. One of the things that I enjoy about live streams is my hat's all kind of weird, is engaging with my viewers, with my audience, and you know, back and forth questions. You guys type, and I can put your comment up so that people can see it, which is cool, and I can respond verbally. So we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the music business, and I've experienced it all. And I'm sure that if you are even a weekend warrior, and I salute you weekend warriors out there, working a day job during the week and then having fun gigging in a band, hopefully having fun gigging in a band on the weekend. The weekend warrior thing, I mean, truth be told, even working as a musician, sometimes the gigs don't happen until the weekend, but it depends. It depends if you're playing in bars or if you're playing on a tour. Obviously, if you're on a tour, you're going to be playing, any day of the week. It's not exclusive to Friday and Saturday. It's going to be any day of the week. So I'm just going to let a few more people come in, and please feel free to say hello. And like I said earlier, I really enjoy engaging with my viewers. That's why I do these live streams. My channel has been getting some interest lately, which is really awesome. I'm really excited about the fact that I'm putting some videos out that people are actually interested in, which is cool because, I got a lot of stories to tell about my life as a musician in many different ways, many different ways that I have been involved in the music industry. And we've got our first person. Now, one thing, got to put these on because then I can see Mike Woods. Well, Mike, hello from Calgary. Fantastic. One of my favorite YouTubers. I believe he's from Calgary. Could be Edmonton, though. But one of my absolute favorite YouTubers is Steve Wallace, Camping with Steve. I love Camping with Steve. And other than, music YouTubers and drumming YouTubers and all that sort of thing, camping is my other major, it's my major hobby. Music is my career. Camping is a hobby, and I really enjoy it. So, Mike, thanks very much for piping in. I got some interesting things you're probably going to want to hear about. So if any of you other guys that are here, it's a small group right now. I'm hoping to get a fair number in here. I'm going to hold off on my stories temporarily. Just a few more guys want to say hello. Go right ahead. Encouraging you guys to put yourself out on a limb. All right, let's get started. So what the good, the bad, and the ugly. So the good, I mean, I've had some awesome nights on stage in a variety of different musical settings. I mean, countless great, fantastic nights on stage. Hello from Kitchener. Jeff from Kitchener. How you doing, man? I'm going to tell you something. It's funny you pop in right now because I can't specify specifically, but some of the great nights that I had back in the day were in Kitchener playing at Lulu's. So I can't believe you just popped in and you're from Kitchener, and I was just about to talk about Lulu's in Kitchener. Sad day when that place shut down because that was such an awesome venue, man. If I'm not mistaken, it had the largest bar in Canada or in the world or something, and the bar was massive. And here is my main man, Matt. I'm thrilled you're here, man. Great talking to you today. Matt, let me tell you guys something about Matt. Go and check Matt's channel out. He's a fantastic young up-and-coming Canadian drummer. I can't say anything but good things about Matt. He's a great guy. I really enjoy the chats that we've had, and we had some fun, working together on the Molder stroke and whatnot. So Matt's a great guy. He teaches at the same music school that I teach at. He's one of the other drum teachers. And Matt, I'll bet you're tired, man. Matt, I go by Matt's room to go and photocopy some music for my lessons today. I couldn't tell you how many kids were in that room. He's teaching a music camp. And the number of kids in that room with him were insane. Hey, Matt. Yeah, thank you. You're very welcome, Matt. Legendary. Awesome. Fantastic. I'm putting Matt's comments up here. Jeff, yes, I made a comment on one of your videos about Lulu's. I think I remember that, because I do remember somebody commenting on Lulu's. Not a lot of people, but a few people. But anyways, what I was going to tell you guys about was the good first, in terms of the music business. The good. You meet guys like Matt Wallace. Okay, now obviously Matt is a drummer, so I don't gig with him, but you meet a lot of really great people. That's one of the gigs. Okay, Matt, back to the shed, man. Get back working on that molar technique. Okay, Matt, I'll probably see you tomorrow. Take care, man. Yeah, thank you very much. I will see you tomorrow. Take care, man. So, I've had the pleasure of playing with some really great musicians, some top-notch Canadian and somewhat American. When I was, doing some cruise stuff, there was a lot of American musicians that I was working with, and they were really, really great. Speaking of Americans, what do we got here? Daryl from Cleveland, Ohio. Hey, have you ever played down here in the States? Yes, a lot, all over, everywhere. I haven't done one for a little while. Last one I did was at the Buffalo Yacht Club. That was the last gig I did in the States. I played in New Jersey a lot at the casino down there. Can't remember the name of the casino. I played so many casinos, but the casino in New Jersey, I can't remember what it's called. But yes, I have played down in the States, toured all over, and done lots of gigs. Vegas, Florida, Arizona, Boston, many times in Boston, tons of times in New York, all over. So anyways, yeah, I hope that answers your question, man. Mike, reading Keith Richards' biography, High Life or Life, he writes about Charlie and how his blues is different from rock tempo, using the hi-hat in relation to the kick and snare. Yes, I would totally agree. AKA the Charlie Watts hi-hat technique, where he lifts off on beats 2 and 4, or whenever he hits the backbeat, he lifts off the hi-hat. He never plays the snare and the hi-hat together. It's a Charlie thing. I subbed in a couple times on a Rolling Stones tribute. Very difficult to do that, because that's not something that I do. I really had to work at that, being able to do that song in, song out. Very, very tricky. But yeah, I'll check that book out, Mike. Thanks for the comment. So the good, again, back to the good. So I played lots of really great gigs. I played with lots of really great people. And for the most part, as if some of you have are just tuning in and sort of getting to know me for the first time, for the most part, I've had a pretty good run of being a musician. I can't complain about my career choice, because it's what I wanted to do from day one, but it's not an easy go. There has been real strong ups and downs, but I got to tell you, okay, it's not just about gigging for me, because one thing that a lot of guys have commented on my videos is about, and I don't think they quite understand exactly what I do, but because I talk a lot about gigging and stuff. That's part of what I do. one thing that I learned from my absolutely legendary teacher, Dom Famulero, and that is that you want to turn yourself into a business, hence the Tim Conley merch, Tim Conley drums. So you want to sell yourself as a product, so to speak. And one of the ways to do that is making money on YouTube, making money selling merch, making money teaching, making money doing studio work, making money. I do band coaching. So I have about 4 or 5 bands that occasionally have me in, and I guide them through their rehearsals. And this is what you should be doing. And you do this and you do that, how you act on stage, and blah, 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 blah. Band coaching. I think you guys, if you've ever saw that show, they had band coaches in helping young bands who were trying to get record deals. And they had famous guys come in like Gene Simmons and the guy from the Goo Goo Dolls and this sort of thing. And they were trying to help these bands develop an on-stage presence, a wow factor, if you want to call it, you know. So that's another aspect of what I do. I also judge what we call them in Canada, we call them festivals. So festivals, not meaning it's thousands and thousands of people. That's not what I mean. Festivals is like a competition for musicians here in Canada. And what happens is there'll be, you know, X number of competitors, and they get up on stage and they play with a song, let's say, and we judge them. And I'm one of the judges, and I get paid to do that. I also get paid to do drum clinics. So I'll perform for a, you know, hopefully large group of people. I've done clinics in front of 5, 6, maybe the smallest one was maybe about 10. The largest one was a couple hundred. So it's been quite a flux of audience members at my clinics. You know, I've been successful in some ways at the clinics, and other clinics not so successful. You know, I'm not exactly a name player. Not like, you know, like some of the best clinics I've ever been to were like Steve Smith and Dom Famulero, my teacher. He's a master clinician, or was a master clinician, rest in peace. So the good, there's lots of good. There is lots of good. It's not all doom and gloom, but people like the doom and gloom. So let's go to the bad. The bad is when you're playing bars and you're getting crappy pay. When you're playing, the thing is I'm talking a lot about bars when I talk about the negative. I'm going to be totally honest, because I grew up, you know, coming up in the music scene. I was playing a lot of bar gigs, because back in the 80s and 90s, as I was coming up in the industry, I'm trying to get whatever gig I can get. I can remember my music teachers when I went to music school telling me, you know, you got to take whatever you can get, man, and you got to get out there and you got to hustle, and you got to let people know who you are and make a name for yourself so that people want to potentially hire you, or you know, have you come and play with them for even a sub gig, whatever, you know. So back in those days, it was a lot of playing. I started teaching around 1994 in music college, because I took a course on how to be a drum teacher. That was one of the classes. So I took a drum teaching course, and I really liked it. I love teaching to this day. I've been teaching ever since, and I have 50 students a week. Not right now, because in the summertime it cuts down quite a bit. But starting back in September, I'll have about 50 students a week. Okay, Jeff has a comment here. It seemed like every bar had bands on the weekends back in the 80s and 90s. Well, I wouldn't say every bar, but definitely a lot. And restaurants would hire bars too. I mean, man, I did some really weird bar gigs. I did the dive bars in Hamilton, because I live in the Hamilton area, or I live in Hamilton in Ontario, and there's a lot of crappy bars down in the city, and I played every one of them practically. And then you've got your high-end bars and or hotels in Toronto that I also played those, but you had to work your way up. You know, there's an echelon of bars, and you know, you got to start off. No, you're absolutely right, Mike. Lousy pay and no stage hands to help. Now, so funny you bring up stagehands, because I've had roadies in the past. There's two things you got to remember as a musician. If you've never ever if you've never ever played in a situation where you've got a sound man and you got a roadie, treat those two like gods, because the sound man can make or break you. And if you treat him well, I've always treated the sound guy as best as I possibly could, and he's going to make you sound so much better because he can make or break the band. Now, obviously, the guy wants to continue to earn a living. He doesn't want to get fired. But I just know from experience that if the sound guy likes you, he's going to go to bat for you. That's human nature, for that matter. Now, as far as a roadie goes, if you are lucky enough to ever experience a roadie, a guy carrying your gear around, loading and unloading, setting it up, and you walk out on stage and lo and behold, there's my drum kit sitting there waiting for me. Sometimes the roadies would even do the sound check. It depends. But Mike, it's the love of music keeps us going. Yes, I do agree, Mike, to some extent. It is absolutely the love of music. I did a gig the other night. Did not make a lot of money. Didn't make any money, actually. I did it for a friend, and I did it out of the goodness of my heart because I wanted to help out, and it was fun. And it's not always about money. The music, I just wanted to play, and I had fun. It was good. Somebody else saying hello here. Hi, Tim and chat. TMR Lizard Lounge Radio. Hello there. We got a radio station popping in. That's awesome. Hello and welcome. Happy to have you here. Thank you very much for joining us, Mike. I am a stage in Calgary, and I've been for 30 years, and I love it. I am a stage in Calgary. Clarify that, Mike. I'm a little bit confused. You're on stage in Calgary? I'm not sure exactly, but all right, I'm gonna move on here. Hey, Tim, you ever play in Barrymore's in Ottawa? I have played in Ottawa. I'm not sure about Barrymore's. Definitely rings a bell. Guys, you got to be patient with me. I have played so many venues, so many crazy places all over. I can't remember the names. However, that definitely does ring a bell. Definitely does ring a bell. But I can't say, oh, yes, 100%. I have played there. But the name definitely sounds familiar. I've played in Ottawa. I've played in Quebec quite a bit. I remember playing a gig in Quebec on the St. Lawrence River, literally right on the river. It was with a band. It was disco. It's called the Disco Dolls. And it was a disco gig, and everybody was skating and dancing on the river while we were, laying down some funk and disco and dance type music back in the 90s. That gig was a lot of fun, but it was really weird playing on a drum kit in the winter, in the freezing cold, not wearing any gloves, bare hands, and you're trying to play. And of course, you just can't play because your hands aren't warm. I had a hat and jacket on, and you're out. I can't remember what the temperature was, but it was pretty cold. And it was quite the gig playing out on a river. All right, the CMR Lizard Lounge Radio. I miss playing as much as I used to in the 90s. Yeah, man, if you're out of it and you're not playing as much as you used to, or you're not playing at all, you're definitely going to miss it. There's an element, though, where I can remember playing 6 nights a week, 3 times a day. What? 3 times a day, 6 nights a week for 6 months. Non-stop gigs. That will burn you out. By the time I was done that 6 months, I needed a break. I actually took some time off. I made a fair bit of money doing all those gigs, and I was able to take a little bit of time off. And it was good to take the time off and then get my head back in the game and get back to doing what I do. Sorry, I don't want to skip anyone here. Stagehand. Okay, you were a stagehand. Gotcha. Thanks for clearing that up, Mike. Very cool. Very cool. John, how about the, I'm mispronouncing this. I don't speak French. My wife speaks French. How about the Chaudière Hotel in Hull, across the river from Ottawa? I think I have played there. I think I have played there. I think I played there subbing in. I think I subbed for a tribute band that went in there that was doing, I think it was an 80s tribute that was in there, but it was 80s new wave type stuff. Like if you're old guy like me, 80s new wave stuff, like danceable stuff, all 80s new wave dance stuff. I think I did that there. Very cool, man. Jeff, yes, that would be tough. Yes, it was not the cold gig. Going back one step here, the gig on the river, that was very tough. That was a tough gig. I mean, I still enjoyed it because one thing that I've always thought whenever I'm on stage is, man, things could be a lot worse. I'm not making millions on this stage. I'm no Tommy Lee or anything like that. I'm not a star, but man, these people are dancing because of what I'm doing, and I'm up here, and I don't know. There's just a real high. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. My high has always been on stage, and I'd live to be on stage. Now, I don't play as much now at age almost 60 live. I do still do gigs. Like I said a few minutes ago, I did one on Saturday. But generally speaking, I'm more into the teaching, um, band teaching. I do studio, and I also teach drumline as well. So I do a variety of things. Plus this YouTube thing. I'm really trying to get this YouTube channel moving and grooving, and trying to get people interested in all the things that the stories and whatnot. How this all started in terms of just telling stories on YouTube, I thought about it for a long time. I got some interesting stories to tell on the road and traveling, and just even just regular gigs. Like weird things always happen. There's always interesting stories. And I watched this guy, Bad Brad, a Nashville guitar player, and I watched them on YouTube, and he's telling about the Nashville scene, and the struggles are real for musicians. And I thought, man, I can do that. I got so many stories. People seem really interested in this guy. I can do the same thing. So Bad Brad motivated me to get out and start telling some stories. And I'm glad I did, because I got all you guys here with me now, listening to me ramble on. So I was talking about the bad. One of the things I wanted to talk about, other than just the money is one thing. One of the things I wanted to tell you guys about was having to deal with management situations where you're having to deal with the club manager or the bar manager, the owners, and the seedy underbelly of the fact that they only care about money and they don't care about the band. Here's a perfect example. I did this gig outside of Toronto, Port something. Other side of Toronto, probably about, I don't know, 80, 90, 100 kilometers east of Toronto, Port something. I can't remember exactly what it's called. And please forgive me, guys. My memory, terrible. Anyways, in that particular venue, and if any of you guys have played this place, please remind me of what it was called. Because when I start telling you about it, you're going to go, I know that place. Anyways, when you go there, the band usually goes for a 3 or 4 nighter, and you do 3 or 4 evening gigs, and I think you do 2 daytime gigs. So the contract is a total of 6 gigs, okay? And you stay there, okay? But the accommodations are horrific. I can remember being there in the summer, being there in the spring, doing gigs there in the winter, which was terrible. I'll tell you about the winter. But in the summer and spring, there was no showers there. There was this filthy bathtub. And you shared the band accommodations with other people that also lived in the hotel. I can't remember the name of the freaking venue either, but anyways, you shared, the band shared with people that paid to rent these rooms in this hotel. And they're pretty crappy rooms. So you can just imagine the kind of people I'm talking about here, okay? Not homeless, but a step up. And so I remember the bathtub was absolutely filthy, disgusting, and there was no showers. So we're like, where the hell do you wash? Well, there's a creek in behind the venue, and the bands would go out and wash themselves in the creek in the summer. So we would be out there with face cloths, towels. Some guys would put their bathing suits on and just jump right in the water and wash themselves and have a bath in the creek. And then some other guys would just wet, face cloths and towels and whatever, and just wipe themselves off and clean themselves. And then in the wintertime, well, it was just using a face cloth. And I never got in that bathtub, but I would get some of the water out of the sink and just wash myself down with out of a sink, like people used to do in the old days. And at night, the windows, I swear to God, the glass on the windows was paper thin. I can remember being in my room. We all got individual rooms, which is cool, and freezing my tail off in that room because it's, minus 30 outside, and it felt like it was minus 20 in that room. It was brutal. So that's the bad, is when you're dealing with horrible accommodations, terrible management, and people that are, shall we say, intoxicated, or the druggies and the drunks and everything. I mean, that's the terrible part of some of those gigs, is having to deal with those people, because you got to remember, you're there for 6 shows, you signed a contract, you got your gear, and you don't want anything broken. So you want to be nice to people, because the drums stay on stage. The guys can haul the guitars off and maybe leave the amps on stage, but if you're doing 6 shows on one stage, your gear just stays there. The drums just stay there. Oh, I think I got some new comments here. My mistake. So let's get to this. Daniel, Tim, have you ever get out west and play in Vancouver, Victoria? Okay, no. I've been around playing, touring in Canada, but not that way, which I regret not going out that way, because I know how beautiful it is out there. But I have to say something about touring very quickly. I played in Vegas. I couldn't tell you one thing about Vegas, because all I saw was the bus, get off the bus, go in the venue, the green room, stage, back to the green room, back on the bus, off to the next place. I didn't get to see anything. So one of the things when you traveling musician, you don't often get to see much other than the venues themselves. And what also happens is, as you're rolling in, because people say, well, didn't you see scenery and whatever when you're driving in? Oftentimes, no, because you drive at night. You go from one gig to the next driving at night. So you sleep. And man, let me tell you, after you play a show and the adrenaline high, I used to get exhausted from nerves. If I would get really nervous, that would tire me out more than the actual performing, because nerves can be draining if you get nervous. Now, I've learned how to deal with nerves. I really don't get nervous at all anymore playing, and that has to do with confidence. That's a whole other thing we'll talk about another time. But I just want to talk about answering these questions here and some of the things I had planned. My hat keeps getting kind of monkeyed here. Anyways, yeah, so I'm sorry, man. I would love to, but I've never been out there. With you there, I never used to like open air gigs. Yeah, man. I mean, I've done tons and tons of open air gigs, tons of festivals, a lot of tribute, played in a lot of tribute bands, and you open at festivals a lot of times I can remember opening for Monster Truck, Canadian band, and playing in a tribute band, which is unusual. Tribute bands usually don't open for main acts, but it's I've definitely done that. So yes, that is a lot of gigging. Yes, I have done unbelievable amount of gigging. People don't even believe me when I tell them, but I swear to you, at one point, not so much anymore. I've slowed down a lot now, but at one point, I was like a band whore. I can remember Oakville, town of Oakville, playing a gig there, and it was a street gig. So Allen Street in Lakeshore to Navy and Lakeshore to Kerr and Lakeshore, 3 different stages in one day from about noon till 1 in the morning ish. I hit all 3 of those stages. So I played in a band on the first stage on Allen Street. Then I played in a band on the second stage in Navy. And then further up the street, Kerr Street and Lakeshore, I also played a gig there as well. So yes, at one time, crazy gigger, because I couldn't get enough of it, man. I just love to be on stage. Have I ever jammed with Dan Aykroyd? No, no, never jammed with Dan Aykroyd. Never played with him. However, I did play in a blues. I subbed, wasn't a regular player. Subbing, for those of you that might not know, is when you get called by the regular player just to fill in for the night. 2 nights. I can remember filling in for my good friend Jeff Salem, fantastic Mississauga. I think he still lives in Mississauga or Toronto area drummer, fantastic drummer, plays in one of the best Eagles tributes in the world. Check out Jeff Salem, man. He's a great player. But I used to sub for Jeff, and he played in this dance band. And the subbing, he was so busy at one point that I was subbing in for him, and I became the regular drummer practically just because of the amount of subbing I was doing for him, you know? So the Blues Brothers things, I did a sub gig for a tribute band. So not Dan Aykroyd, but the tribute band. You bought Jim Chapin's signed stick and drill book from Dom Fermino. I still can't believe the great Dom has passed. Yeah, man, I have it. I have that book right around here somewhere. I have is it the white or the blue copy? Because I have the white copy that was signed by Jim. Jim was awesome. And Dom Famulera, for those of you who don't know who he is, when you're done with me here, go and check Dom out. Dom, I went to his birthday party August 28th, and he died September 28th. And Dom was the greatest, man. I was his student for 16 years, but it wasn't just a student thing. He would give me advice. I would talk to him about everything. We became so close. I would talk to him about everything, and he would always reach out and help me. Whether we talk on the phone, we talked on Skype, we talked on Zoom. I would go to New York. When he would come to Canada, I would help him out when he would do his master classes and his clinics. I would often be one of his helpers, kind of like a roadie. But then when he was actually teaching, I would be like an assistant teacher to him because he taught me all the molar stroke and the Billy Gladstone hand technique. I mean, if you guys check out the rest of my channel, all the things that Dom showed me, they're all there. So I'm really thrilled you bought that book. It's a great book, and really, Jim Chapin was a brilliant player, and he was, of course, the guy that carried on the molar technique up until he died. Okay, Mike, 2 kick drums or 1 slash got him to go down to 1. For me, you can't see it, but I have 1 bass drum, but I use a double pedal. So, it depends. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I do is, only need a single pedal, but I really love double pedal playing, but I don't do any speed metal or anything like that. I don't get called for those gigs. I might get called for some heavy rock, like an Ozzy tribute, Black Sabbath tribute, that sort of thing. Is that even heavy anymore compared to what's heavy out there now? I mean, let's just call it rock music. Yeah, so I'll play double bass with a double pedal. I occasionally, if I have to rent and it's like an Aussie thing, maybe I use 2 bass drums, but not too often. I usually just go with the double pedal. And Steven Adler. Yes, Steven Adler, man. You know what? Steven is one of the most underrated drummers of all time. We're talking about Steven Adler from Guns N' Roses. If you listen to that album, their first album with all those great songs, that's all Steven drumming on there, man. He was great, great. And I played in a Guns N' Roses tribute, and he's got some certain things. He repeats it a lot. He likes to use cowbells, which I also enjoy, but he always has this certain phrase. He likes to end a lot with either cymbal clutches or double hits on the snare, whatever. And whenever you're in a tribute band, you've got to get inside the head of the player. Now, Steven's a heavy-duty drug user, or he was. I think he's had 2 or 3 strokes. The guy's really messed up. I think he's better now. I think he's off of it, and I'm really happy because I'd hate to see the guy, another great downed by the drug scene. But yeah, Steven was awesome, man. Oh, John, who are my top 5 drummers? Oh boy. Okay. Anytime I get asked this, there's always, hey, what about this guy? Hey, what about that guy? First of all, I have a video, top 40 drummers of all time on my channel. Those are my picks. I got so many comments, guys, angry at me. You forgot so-and-so, These are my picks. So, John, my top 5, I'm going to have to say, well, first of all, in order, number 1, let's just go right to number 1. Neil Peart. I love Neil, met him twice, had an awesome talk with him the second time. Fantastic. I mean, I love Rush. They're my favorite band. Love Neil. Number 2, Tony Williams, the great legendary jazz drummer, Tony Williams. I studied with a drum teacher in Toronto. His name was Jim Blackley. Jim studied with Tony. And he also played with Miles. So Jim was heavy. And he taught me the infamous Tony Williams technique on the ride cymbal, which I'm going to do a lesson. I have 1 lesson on it. I think I'm going to do another. He also taught me, which I also did with Todd Zuckerman when I studied with Todd Zuckerman. Let me just show you here, John. And I'll continue answering your question, John. So this is called, you can see my hand, flagpole snap. Okay, so I'm going to do a lesson on this flagpole snap. And the funny thing is, and I always do this with my drum teacher when I'm teaching them flagpole snap. I shake their hand. And when I shake their hand, they can't believe how gentle and how soft my hands are. And I'll show you why. When I actually touch the sticks and hold the sticks, I'm barely touching them. Super, super loose grip. Super loose. So flagpole, I'm trying to get it with the camera. Snap. I'm trying to get it with this camera here. I'm sorry. You're doing that and then snap, right? Now I'm going to do a whole lesson on that. Now, okay, so that's Neil, that's Tony. Number 3, Steve Gadd. Number 4, and I love Steve Gadd. Legendary Steve Gadd. Number 4, another guy I took some lessons with, Steve Smith from Journey. Absolutely amazing. And number 5, Buddy Rich. So those are my top 5. I love Buddy. Dom Famularo was actually my absolute favorite drummer, but he never really played in a band. So I'm assuming you're talking about band guys. Teaching wise, Dom, Murray Spivak, Freddie Gruber, these are all legendary teachers. Al Miller, these are all guys that were just amazing in the teaching scene. So Weckl, Vinny, Smith, Jones, and Rich. Okay, I love Vinny. Vinny would be a very close one in my top 5. I love Vinny. I went to Vinny's masterclass in Nashville. He's a monster. I've never seen anyone play like Vinny. And I went to Thomas Lang's boot camp. Thomas Lang is ridiculous. He's got coordination like you would not believe. But Vinny's on this other zone, man. Vinny's from a different planet. I'm telling you right now, Vinny is from a different planet. Vinny, I can't even, I saw him play, like, you know, just a few feet away from me. And I've seen a lot of really, really great players. I used to be a clinician nutso, always going to see everybody. Plus, I used to go to bands like you wouldn't believe. If I wasn't playing, I was at a concert. That was my whole life. So, yeah, all of those. Smith, Steve Smith, I'm assuming you're talking about. I mean, those are fantastic, you know. All right, let's get to a few more of these comments here. As the structure fails. How are you doing, Tim? I am doing well. Thank you very much for joining me, man. I'm thrilled to have you guys in here. Really thrilled. Who used to say it's like holding a baby bird? Jim Chapin used to say that. So let me explain that very quickly. Jim would say, when you're holding the stick, let me just take this off here for 1 sec so you can see my hand. It's really hard for me to maneuver my hand. Here we go. Okay, so you're holding your hand like this. But if you let it go too loose, the bird is going to fly away, pretending you have a bird in your hand. I'm sorry, this is Jim Chapin used to say this. But if you go like this, you're going to crush the bird. So you want to be in this position. So when you're holding the stick, you want to have this space. The bird can breathe. The stick can move. Okay? Let me see here. Once again, struggling with my angles. So you want to be nice and loose. You want to make sure the stick can move easily. Always have a space there when you're playing, okay? So when you're playing, you want that space. Be nice and relaxed, okay? Now, I'm not doing any playing particularly tonight, guys. I'm just going to be, I wanted to talk to you guys. Okay. Oh, I already got that one. Yep, Jim. Terry Bozzio, amazing. Ridiculous drum kit, absolutely ridiculous. Saw Terry at a drum clinic in Toronto when he came around with that monster drum kit, very musical. I love his playing, I love his phrasing. He got really angry when people are talking to him about Missing Person, his old band with his ex-wife in the 80s, because that was pop music and he's way beyond just playing simple beats. Terry Bozzio is an absolute legend. Todd Zuckerman is so good. Yes, I just had a lesson with him a few weeks ago. He's amazing. Amazing. Great guy, too. You know, one of the things that I have been very fortunate is that most of the guys that I've seeked out, and a lot of it was through Dom Famulero. I'm not going to lie to you. He would hook me up with guys. Hey, Tim, do you want a lesson with Greg Bissonette, Ringo's drummer? Yeah. Well, here, let me hook you up. Boom. And it would happen, you know? So now Todd, I hooked up on my own. And he was great. I learned so much from him. I learned a lot about, even though I've been in the business technically longer than him, but that guy's play, he's a gigging machine. He travels the world like crazy, and his playing is, you know, he's just world class player. I've seen him play with sticks. He's so good. His phrasing is awesome, and I was really fortunate to have had, you know, a wonderful lesson with him. And let me just show you guys, where the heck is it? I've got some stuff Todd gave me around here. Hold on 1 second. Oh no, it's too far away. But Todd gave me something. He signed something for me and gave me something and stuff at the lesson, which was really cool. Yeah, Vinny has so much power and finesse, and he uses 5Bs. Oh, I couldn't remember what sticks he uses, but 5B is a large stick, but his power and finesse is phenomenal. I love the stuff he did with Sting. I love the stuff that he did with some of the jazz fusion guys. I mean, Vinny, he played with Keith Urban. He can do anything. He can play jazz, funk, Latin, pop. I mean, the only thing I've never seen Vinny play is speed metal or heavy metal, for that matter. Anything that's really hard and heavy. I've never really seen him do that, but he does everything else. And he's a phenomenal jazz player and jazz fusion player, like the best. I mean, Weckl too, they're on the same level. Steve Smith as well. These guys are on, you know, they're way up here. Yes, it was Jim Chapin. Okay. Not sure if you remember, but I took lessons from you. I believe it was at Capstone. Kyle Laird here, now the vocalist of this band. Kyle, yes, I do remember you. Holy moly. Great to hear from you, man. One of my old students coming back. Yeah, man. That's awesome. Great. And you got a band going? That's fantastic. Yeah, you know what? It's awesome when a student actually comes forward and says his name and I can remember. I'm usually pretty bad with names, but I do remember you, Kyle. Absolutely. Capstone, Capstone was a great place, man. I taught there for many, many years. I don't teach there anymore. I have my own, I teach out of my house and I teach at the Merriam School of Music in Oakville. But Capstone, Jeff, the owner, fantastic guy, great guy, always treated me so well. I would come off the road and I would say, Jeff, I need a gig, man. I need some students. I got to make some money. Just came off the road. I got some money in the bank, but I need a job moving forward because I don't know when the next time I'm going to be playing. That's the tough part about being a full-time musician is you don't know when the next paying job is going to be coming along. It's always a hustle. So Jeff was very good. He did it a number of times where I came off and said, hey, Jeff, help me out. And he did. So he was awesome. Vinny did record an album with a heavy metal band. I can't remember the band name, but he did. I didn't know that. Okay. I did not know that Vinny played, any heavy metal. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. The man can do anything, but I did not know that. So if anyone knows or if you can remember, let me know, hit me up in the comments. All right. I think I got to the bottom here. I did. Okay. So we're going to get to the ugly. So the good, bad, and the ugly is the title of this live stream. The ugly is some of the crap that you have to deal with bandmates. So I just did a video recently about talking about bandmates and some horror stories. Now, the good is when I was in a band, and I'm going to shock the hell out of you guys. I was in a band. I was the boss. I ran it. I started the band. I hired all the musicians. The drummer was the leader. I was the Buddy Rich of the band, minus the skill level. And when I was running that band, it's the only band I ever played in, and I'm talking hundreds. I played in hundreds of bands, subbing and or regular member. Maybe I only got hired for a week, whatever. But in the band that I had, nobody drank, nobody did drugs. It's a Christmas miracle. I'm telling you right now, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, and I didn't seek that out. I didn't say you can't drink, you can't do anything. I just hired them because they were great musicians, really, really top-notch musicians that I used to play with. And the singer was fantastic, and we did really well. We went out and, we were in the Toronto scene, and we went all around. We toured around and did all kinds of different gigs, and they didn't drink. Nobody acted stupid. I mean, I've done gigs with guys that their personalities would morph through the night. And you got to remember, if you're on the road with people, oh my God, and they're changing constantly, and you don't know what you're dealing with, you're on eggshells all the time, it's a nightmare. I'm going to say hello to a few more people here. Brandon Summers, hello from Oshawa, gigging musician. The Schwa, yes, my man. Thank you very much, Brandon, for joining us. You're a gigging musician, guitar player, drummer. Let me know, man. Andrew Machada just joined the stream. Now I forgot about this. Just recently found your channel. I've been enjoying it. Hey, Andrew, thank you very much, man. I'm glad that you're enjoying it, and I'm glad you found the channel, and you're here with us, fellow musicians. I'm assuming most of you guys are musicians. I mean, could be just people that are interested in music as a whole. I mean, traditionally, I'm used to drummers because it's a drum channel, but it's great to have all kinds of different people in here. Just fantastic. Brandon, Christmas Miracle, that's for damn sure. Unicorn Band. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was unbelievable. Now, I was playing in a 90s tribute recently, and I wouldn't say those guys didn't drink, but they were very level-headed. I mean, back in the day, I used to have a couple beers. I think I've been drunk twice, and I'm thousands and thousands of gigs I played. I think I've been drunk twice. I remember when I was playing in bands where there's management, it was very strict. They were on you like crazy. And you did not get drunk, because if you're hungover and you got to play, they didn't care. You could be sick. I can remember doing gigs, not from being hungover, but legitimately being sick, with a bucket right beside the hi-hat stand. And if I needed it, it was there. But I never was hungover or drunk. Like I said, twice. And one time I was drunk because I was pissed off at the singer. That's a whole other story I'm going to do a video on. I was super pissed off at the singer because he'd been robbing us. This is the ugly part of my video again. Being ripped off financially by bandmates. So what happened was, I'm in this band. I'm a member of the band. It's not like I'm subbing. It's not like I'm just there for a week. I was a member of the band, and we're a working top 40 dance type band. And the singer he was booking the gigs. Okay. So he's booking the gigs. He's dealing with all the agents and all that stuff. That's fine. What was happening was, let's say the band was being paid. Let's say the band got paid $750 for a night. Let's just say. I can't remember exactly what the figures were because they were always different. But let's just say $750 the band got paid for one night. He would alter the contracts, because we'd always say we got to be on the up and up, and we want to see the contracts, the other guys in the band. It was a 4-piece, 4 guys. Okay. So he would alter the contracts and then send them out to us to say we were getting paid $600. One of the guys in the band figured it out. Really bright guy, guitar player. Figured it out that, hey man, there's something wrong. Also, I kind of got suspicious because a lot of the places that we were playing and getting contracts from, I played there before, and I could have sworn I got paid more money than what I'm getting here. So we confronted them. We were right. We found out the whole scam that was being pulled. It was a low life. So the three of us decided we're going to quit the band. We're going to go hire a singer and form our own band, which we did. But the night that we quit, we decided, I don't give a shit. Who cares? We're just going to do whatever we want to do. And so that's the night that I got drunk. Still played okay. But the driving home, that was a problem. My wife wasn't too happy about having to pick me up. Not too happy at all. And, lugging my gear home and then having to come back and get the car the next day. No fun at all. So, okay, Mike, I'll get back to you in 1 second. I'm just going to answer Brandon's question. Oof, how much money do you reckon he took you for? Oh, man. We don't know, but it was for quite a while. It wasn't that long because the guitar player in the band, I don't like to name names. That's one thing I don't like to do, guys. I don't like to name a lot of names when I'm talking about the ugly. When I'm talking positive, I have no problem. But with the ugly, I stay away from names and stuff. But the guitar player spotted it fairly quickly. I'm going to say maybe a few months, like maybe 3 months, because everything was on the up and up. And we were getting paid like we're supposed to. And he kept saying, you guys are my brothers. You guys are my brothers. Well, so much for being frickin' brothers. I was so pissed off that he did that to us. And, the three of us abandoned ship. He was quite upset that we just literally said, that's it, man. You're robbing us. How can you say I'm your brother and rob me, sticking a knife in my back? And that's the ugly of the band world if you get involved with people like that. So, okay, Mike, how hard is it to tune a set of drums? Not hard at all. Tell you a funny story. I don't have it handy here, but I have a thing that you put on the drum. You can tune the drums using this device. Well, I decided to test it against my ears because I never used this thing. It was given to me, and I decided I'll try it out. The company gave it to me, so I'm not going to turn down free shit. So I decide I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it against my ears because I've always just tuned with my ears. I know the sound that I like. Turns out I was bang on with the device. So I've never used it. I just stick with my ears. It's not very hard to tune a drum, but it is difficult to develop the sound that you need to develop, like the skill to be able to hear the pitches. I usually tune them I like a tight snare sound, and I like a nice snappy bottom head. And the toms, I usually tune them in thirds. So, like thinking of a root, third, fifth, seventh, ninth, that sort of thing, depending on how many toms I'm dealing with. I like to move them in piano thirds so that effectively it's a note, but I know how to get the bottom head and the top head to resonate the way that I want it to resonate. So if I tighten the bottom head a little bit, it's going to pitch up higher. If I leave it so that both heads are the same, there's no pitch bending. And then if I tune it a little bit down on the bottom head, the pitch bends down. So it depends on the sound that I'm looking for, but I usually pitch up. That's the sound that I usually go for. So it's not too difficult to tune a set of drums, but the ear part is difficult, not the physical, actual tuning of the drums, but the physical. Also, I took a course, DW drums. Can't remember the guy's name, but I took his course in Toronto. It was a 2.5-hour drum tuning course. He's amazing at tuning drums. That's what the guy does all day, every day, is tune drums, right? Or at least be around the tuning of drums. And he was brilliant. Can't remember the DW owner's name, but when I went and took his tuning course, it was really helpful. Yes, I already answered that. Brandon. Edmund. Hello from Peace River, Alberta, originally from Chicago. Love your videos, man. That's freaking awesome. Another guy from Alberta. Fantastic. As I was mentioning earlier, if you just popped in at Edmund, one of my favorite YouTubers is an Albertan, but he's not a drummer, a musician. He's a camper. Camping with Steve Wallace, man. That's my man. I love Steve. He's awesome, and he's an Albertan. Hey, man, I hope that the wildfires and whatnot aren't bringing you down out there. But Chicago, the Windy City, man, I played some gigs in Chicago. What a crazy town. Oh my God. Trying to get a parking space. Insane. Did you guys consider? No, we did not consider taking him to court. We didn't. We were really pissed off, and we thought that just leaving him in the dust, which is what we did, was punishment enough, because it's not, I'm not going to say it's hard. He was a good singer. It's not hard for a singer to get a gig, but it's hard starting over. And he was used to us. We made him feel comfortable. We did a lot of gigs. We worked a lot. And he was one of the, I think two of the guys were pros. Two of the guys had, they had other jobs, but myself and the guitar player, just musicians. The other two guys also had jobs, and I know he carried on in music, but he did have another job. So it wasn't like he was going to go broke or starving or anything. Yes, terrible being ripped off when you're in it together. You're right, because it's a family, man. If you've ever been in a band, you get tight with your bandmates, especially if you're living together and you're out on the road. Like, even if you go out for, like, I used to do gigs where I'd be gone for 5 days and then come home. It's still it's a mini tour. I did tons of mini tours where you live with a guy in some shitty hotel where there's hookers and strippers wandering around. Sudbury. What is the name of that venue in Sudbury? The Coleman. The Coleman. Man, I got some stories about the Coleman, about the strippers at the Coleman. Hopefully my wife's not watching this. The strippers at the Coleman. I can remember one of my cymbals going missing. And I can remember going up to my room, and as I'm walking to tell the guys in the band and the manager, one of my cymbals is missing. If you guys take it, as I'm walking along, I look in this room, because we shared with strippers there. There was a strip club and a bar. We playing at the bar, and the strippers were next door, but the strippers lived in the accommodations with the band. The band lived up there for 5 days, however long you were there. The strippers lived there for 5 days. Or however long they were there. They could have been there for months for all I know. Anyways, I'm walking by. I see my cymbal on a freaking desk in one of the strippers' rooms. I'm like, what the? So I go in there and I just take it out. And I didn't want to get into it with the girl herself, because these strippers can get pretty crazy. But I went and told the guy that runs them, like their boss. And he said, don't you worry, I'll take care of it. So I never had anything else stolen from them, but I got to tell you, I'm going to do a video on some stories about that venue alone, because there was some crazy stuff that went on there, man. Crazy. Um, that's like the snake charmer word. Anytime you hear a brother find a new band, yes, you're absolutely right. And I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but a lot of union people, you're my brother, but they'll stab you in the back. You're absolutely right, Brandon. I totally agree with that. You got to watch out for those. You're my brother. Ugh. Drum dial. That is it. Thank you very much. That's what it was, drum dial. Now, the drum dial is useful. It's great. It'll do the job. I mean, I usually tune around, well, I mean, each drum is a little bit different, between 75 and 80 on the drum dial. That's usually where I put it. But I found that my ears were connecting at that anyway. So I have it around here somewhere. It's down here in my drum room area, down here somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where it is, but I still have it. It's good. And I don't use it that much, but I definitely still have it. Maddie Banana, I have really enjoyed watching your videos, Tim. Well, that's great, Matt. Maddie, thank you very much for tuning in. I'm thrilled to have all you guys coming in and joining me. Jack DeJohnette tunes and pitches too. Yes, he does. Now, I got a story about Jack DeJohnette. Man, you guys, you keep spawning all these stories. I'm in Smithville, New York. I'm on an elevator with my wife and my son and my daughter. And the elevator opens. A very classy, well-dressed black man and his wife, both really nice looking people, like very classy. You could just feel the elegance coming off them. They were amazing. They come in the elevator. I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, is that Jack DeJohnette? Like, to myself. So I just said to him, you look like a drummer that I know, Jack DeJohnette. He says, well, it's because I am Jack DeJohnette. And I was like, what? Anyway, it was Jack DeJohnette. Quick chat, off he went. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I was in Smithfield to be at Dom's birthday party. So I thought for sure he was going to be at Dom's birthday party. So I was hoping to see him there so I could I didn't want to be a fanboy. Oh my God, it's Jack DeJohnette. I didn't want to act weird. He just went off on his own. And I just said, nice to meet you, shook his hand, fellow drummer. Awesome, man. And then I thought, oh, he's got to be here for Dom, but he wasn't. I didn't see him I saw everybody else, but I didn't see Dom. At that party, I got to hang out with David Garibaldi. Super cool. Super cool. I also got to hang out with Liberty DeVito from Billy Joel. He was really cool too at that party. That whole party, I could talk about that all night too. Some of the guys I got to hang out with at that birthday party, really cool guys. And we all got to play up. They hired a house band and New York City studio musician house band, and we all got up and took turns playing. David Garibaldi. Who else was there? I can't remember everybody that was there. Anyone that was anyone in the business as a drummer was there, and everybody got up there and took a tune with the band. It was really awesome. Andrew, my opinion on electronic drum sets. Okay. I'm not a fan of gigging with them. I've been forced to use electronic drums at a few casino gigs that I've done because they don't want loud acoustic drums, even though my nickname is Pillow Hands because I can play very, very quietly. And that's because of my jazz training in music school. They teach you how to play really quiet. So I can play a rock beat, pop, funk rock beat in the pocket, in time, but I can play quiet. So I never liked the electronic drums, except really, I recommend them to my students who live in situations where they cannot play loud. Whether mom and dad just don't want to listen to it, or they live in an apartment or a townhouse or some kind of a situation where they can't have loud drums, So in that case, they're great. Plus they're fun because you get, 50, 60, 100 different kits. You can make your own kits. So there's a definite use for them. I personally just don't like them on the gig. I used to have a Roland 17 something, RD 17. I can't remember what they're called. I sold it though, because even though my students enjoyed it, it just wasn't my thing. Yes. Ever do any session work? Yes, yes. I do something. I'm going to do a video about it. I do something which is playing on people's records, and that's normal stuff. But there's something in industry called ghosting, and ghosting basically means that I go in under the radar. I play on a session, but I'm not on the record. I'm not on the CD in terms of being listed as a musician. I'm ghosting. So they have the band list their regular musicians, and I played, I got paid, I still can make some royalties, but I'm not listed. So this happens all the time in the industry, guys. I'll give you an example. This is going to blow your mind. I'm going to tell you something. Look it up. But you know that song by Bon Jovi? This is just one. There's quite a few. I'm a cowboy on a St. Horse I ride. I can't remember. Wanted, Dead or Alive. Okay, sometimes I got to sing the tune to, I'm not a singer, guys, but I got to sing the tune to get the title. Wanted, Dead or Alive. Tico did not play on that. Tico Torres did not play on that. You know who played drums on that song? Kenny Aronoff, because he is a session guru. He's the man when it comes to session work. So he ghosted. Was he listed? No. Did he get paid? Yes. Is he making continuous money off that song? Yes, as the drummer. Tico was not involved. And that's just one. There was tons. He actually played on quite a few Bon Jovi. I hate to break this to you guys. Sometimes I tell people the truth and they go, what? They're brokenhearted because they find out their favorite drummer didn't play on the track. Oftentimes, it's a ghost drummer that comes in. Now, I don't ghost everything. I played on session work where I wasn't ghosted. It was, I got the credit, and I do a lot of tribute stuff. So I go in and play with a lot of tribute bands. It's technically ghosting, I guess, because a lot of these tribute bands do have a regular drummer, but I'll come in and just play on the session. So yeah, I love session work, by the way. It's great, man. I worked with Terry Brown, Rush's producer, on some recordings, and he was awesome. What a fantastic producer. I was in a Beatles tribute and laying down all these Beatle tracks, and Terry was the producer. So that was heavy, man, working with Terry Brown. That was really heavy. Steve's channel, superb. I'm glad you love Steve's channel. Yes, I love Steve. Camping with Steve is my favorite of all YouTubers. I love Steve. Parking in Chicago, oh man, it's brutal. New York is terrible too. Toronto, check out my I quit gigging in Toronto. I only work in Toronto. A little bit misleading, that video. I still work in Toronto, but only if it's ticketed. Sometimes I get picked up. I hate driving in Toronto. I hate the parking. So the venue has to have somewhere where I can go right in, and I'm not paying 50 or 60 bucks to park. I'm not doing the gig if I'm doing that. And a lot of the gigs that I do now are higher end gigs. You know, I don't do any bars anymore at all. So that's really good. Doug Woodland, maybe now, but the guy that I had, that wasn't his name. But I think there's two of them that own DW, but maybe they sold it to this guy. I don't know. It was quite a few years ago I had that. He actually started on the Walk of Fame as innovator, and my brother of the same name sent me a photo. Incredible. Okay, cool, man. Really great. Matty had a cool experience as a stagehand assisting Neil Peart's drum tech set up Neil's drums. He handed me a bottle of Windex and a rag and had me wipe down each drum before I passed it to them. That's awesome, man. It's a small thing and you think that's not the greatest job, but hey, wiping down Neil's drums, I'd take it. I worshiped Neil. He was awesome. Those fills, I was so heavily influenced by him. First time I saw Rush, 1981. Maple Leaf Gardens, for those of you old enough to remember, Maple Leaf Gardens, which is now a Loblaws in Toronto. And I played a gig at that Loblaws. That was the weirdest gig, man. I got to tell you, quick story. I got to do a video on that Loblaws gig. Who the hell has a gig playing in a grocery store? So there's an escalator in Loblaws. Come up the escalator. Right as soon as you get off the escalator, there's a band right in front of the escalator playing my band. and we're playing top 40 dance, rock, pop, funk, Brazilian, you name it. You know, we're doing everything. But what a strange gig playing in a grocery store. Like I said, I tell people I've done every gig imaginable. The grocery store gig, man. That is so funny. I'm still laughing about it. Anton Fig on Kiss. Yeah, man. Anton Fig, David Letterman's drummer. That guy's a session guy, played on tons of stuff. Can you tell me which song he played on for Kiss? Because I'm actually not familiar with him playing with Kiss, but that'd be cool, Jeff. Oh, this is two people talking amongst themselves. Oh, yeah, I love Kenny's drumming, man. I'll tell you, hardest hitter in the industry is Kenny Aronoff and Liberty DeVito, Billy Joel's drummer, which you'd never think. But he plays, all the gigs are in stadiums. Billy Joel hits hard. Or not Billy Joel, sorry, Liberty. Now, I saw Liberty play at Dom's birthday because, as I mentioned, everybody got up and played a tune. So he got up there and he played... what's the matter with the times I'm dying, out of sight. Can't remember the name of the tune, but it's a Billy Joel song. He got up there and played it. Of course, it's amazing. It was so awesome to watch this guy play. That's interesting. I always thought session players get paid a fee to play on the song, and that's it. I didn't think they got royalties. Oh no. But you have to sign a special contract to get royalties. You will continue to get royalties, but you have to kick and scream a little bit and potentially get a lawyer involved. But you can get royalties on songs. Absolutely. I mean, obviously you're getting paid for the session, but you can get royalties. But again, you got to fight for it a little bit. Hi, Tim. Have you ever played the Big Bop back in the day or their newer location, Rock Pile? Rock Pile, yes. Yes, I have played the Rock Pile. The Big Bop, I don't think I ever played it when it was the Big Bop, but that definitely rings a bell, so it's possible. It's possible, but yes, the Rock Pile, man. I played there with a Bon Jovi tribute, an In Excess tribute. I think a Sabbath tribute as well, I think, at the Rock Pile. Yeah, very cool, man. Thank you very much. I saw Kenny Aronoff not long ago with Billy Gibbons. Got to meet Billy and shook his hand. Didn't get to meet Kenny, though. Billy Gibbons, ZZ Top. Fantastic, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I've met Kenny. I've never met Billy. Kenny's a great guy, man. Incredibly fit. Unbelievably fit. He hits those drums so hard. That guy is a machine. He told me that he works out. That's what he does. Doesn't drink, doesn't do anything stupid. He keeps himself super fit because the guy lives to be on the road. Kenny Aronoff is the hardest working drummer in the business. The guy is amazing. It's still rock and roll to me. Thank you, Daniel. You're a lifesaver, man. And you know what? I got to stop singing. I don't sing. My wife hears me singing. My wife's a singer. She's an opera singer. She's an amazing singer. I'm a terrible singer. Man, I was doing backups in that 90s tribute. I don't know about that. I play drums. That's what I do. But I had to sing backup. And I got her to help me how to sing harmonies. It's funny because I hear all the harmonies. I can identify all the harmonies. I hear music at an incredible level. Like I can hear so much. I hear it all. Can I replicate it with my voice? No, I always was going off key and it's terrible, man. Anton played on one of the Kiss Alive albums. Okay, cool. You know, it's funny. I just watched this documentary thing about Kiss today about a guitar player, and he wasn't actually a member of Kiss, but about this session guitar player that played on a ton of songs on that album. Can't remember his name, but check that out. Look it up. He was a session guitar player, played on a Kiss Alive album. He wasn't a member of Kiss. He was a studio guy that they hired, a ghosted guy. just as I was talking about. What has been the largest concert you played, which is the most memorable? Okay, largest concert. Geez, I played a few in traveling around. I played in a band that was playing and got onto a tour. We were opening, not main, but opening, and we were opening your, please don't laugh, but it was one of the Backstreet Boys brothers, the one that just died, and also a Canadian band called they had a song called Hanging by the Moment. Hanging by a moment. I'm singing again, I'm sorry. Can't remember the name of the band, but they were the headliner, and well, they were second. We were opening, they were second, and then the guy from the Backstreet Boys was the headliner. Most memorable. I don't know. I don't know which one to nail it down to one gig that was memorable. I mean, I have different memories of different gigs for different reasons. Sometimes it was a fail. Sometimes it was a moment where it was just happening. Sometimes it was a moment where the crowd was going insane. And there were so many of those, it's hard to pick one. I really can't pick one. There's just so many, But thanks very much for the question. Lifehouse. That's it. Hanging by a moment. Yeah. I have a funny story about a Lifehouse, which I'll save for a video. But yeah, some of the young ladies coming around, and I was like, "Hey guys, take a look at these girls over here." But anyways, that's a whole different story. Life on the road. Yeah, he is super fit. All right, some people saying hello, I think. Guys, I'm going to be cutting out of here very soon. Pleased I found your channel tonight, enjoying the chat. Thank you very much. I'm absolutely thrilled that you're enjoying the chat. Edmund, I met Louis Bellson in the early 80s back in Florida at one of his gigs. Okay, Louis, gentleman, legendary gentleman. The first time I ever met Dom Famularo was at a drum clinic with Louis Bellson, and I met Louis. It was Louis Bellson, Steve Smith, and Dom, the three of them. What an incredible player Louis Bellson was. And Louis told me about Murray Spivak, the legendary drum teacher, Murray Spivak. And after that, I checked Murray out. Now, I never had a lesson with Murray, but I had a lesson with some of his students, including Chad Wackerman. And Chad was a legendary student of Murray and learning the Murray Spivak method, which is a very in-depth thing. Now, I didn't spend a lot of time on it because I focused more on Joe Morello's teachings and Freddie Gruber's teaching and the dance, and Neil Peart studying with Freddie, and Steve Smith studying with Freddie. I got right into Freddie Gruber more so than Murray. But anyways, guys, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm so thrilled you guys were all here with me tonight. I got another comment here. You're a legend. Tim, shout out to Sven Galley, Brap, Ontario drummers. Let's go. Hey, man, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm known in the Ontario scene. There's no doubt about that. I really appreciate. I'm thrilled. Some of my drum students kicking in here that I haven't seen in years. I've been teaching drums since 1994. So can you imagine? I've never stopped, and I have 50 students a week still. So, I mean, over the years, I've taught probably thousands of students over the years, and for them to pipe in here, I'm just thrilled, I can't believe it. It's really awesome. Really awesome. Louis is incredible. Only ever heard good things about him. Lovely guy, along with his wife, Pearl Billy. You're absolutely right. I've only ever heard good things. Dom talked very, very highly. He talked so highly of Louis. Louis was a gentleman, a gentleman's gentleman. So sad to see, him go, but he lived a long and good life. And check him out in those drum battles with Buddy Rich. Jeff, thanks for doing this, Tim. Fun stuff. Yeah, man. This was a great hang. I love this. I love getting together with fellow musicians and not even musicians, but people that just love music and want to learn a little bit and want to hear my story. So, guys, I'm going to have to get going here. But thank you very much for tuning in with me. It was fantastic. It was really great. Square Drums, you're very welcome, my man. Very welcome. Thank you very much for tuning in. And I got some new video ideas coming up. I'm going camping because that's my hobby. I'm big into camping. So I'm going camping. I'm teaching tomorrow. Yes, I'm teaching. I got a fairly busy day teaching tomorrow. And then Wednesday I'm going camping. And then, it's back to the grind on the weekend, grinding it out on the drum kit. So anyways, guys, all of you, thank you very much. All of you stay safe as well. I'm going to let you guys go. Thanks so much for tuning in. What an awesome group. So thrilled to see some of my old students here and meeting all kinds of new people from all over the place. Just amazing. Thanks, guys. I'll keep you updated. I'm going to have some more of these live streams coming up, and I got some new videos coming out soon too, as soon as I get a chance to film them, because my schedule is pretty full. Okay, see you guys. Thank you very much. Take care.